I'm Todd Mansfield, 52 years old. I run a program called the Breakpoint Tennis Academy out of Portland, Oregon. It's focused mainly on online training, online coaching. I'm starting some camps that, because of the coronavirus, we're going to do online this summer around the world, and involve coaches, nutritionists, and all sorts of things. How did I get to here? That's always the big question. Tennis for me has been a part of my life since I was 7 years old, and played, well, all the way up until I was about 23, 24 years old. I played juniors, nationals, played for the U.S. on a European tour, went to college at Northwestern in Chicago, played for 2 years there before a broken bone in my back playing against Michigan State. Kind of curtailed the career, but look, we have to be honest. There was no career after college. Look, you might want to dream that you had a chance, but no, that was not happening.
Yeah.
I knew it at that point. I was number 7, so just outside the starting lineup. Todd Martin was our number 1 player. He's my pledge son from my fraternity.
Okay.
And so we had a lot of good players. And I always tell the coach that, though, I'm the reason the team won the Big Ten championship, because I left after my sophomore year. They brought in better talent and they won it the next year, which we always get a kick out of. But no, I've just always stayed close to the game. I got into sports broadcasting after college and did that for about 20 years, traveled the country, did all sorts of sports for Fox and the Big Ten, or the Pac-10 at the time. But tennis was always part of me. I'd help out, I'd coach on the side, maybe an extra summer job. And then I got into podcasting after my broadcasting career and got involved in coaching, then partly doing some basketball and some tennis at some local high schools. And it just bit me. And I said, you know what, I've got to go. I've got to dive back in.
Right.
And I have. And there's really, what I have discovered, again, and through the internet, is there's such a great community, and there is such an amazing amount of people who want to give and in return get something. And what that is, it's different for every person, but the tennis community itself is a beautiful place to be. And I'm happy that it's never left me.
Well, there are 2 things that you brought up there that I think are actually 3 or 4 that are really important. But one, I think it's because, and I could be wrong about this, that you're competitive, but you're only as good as the people you're playing against and learning against.
Yeah.
And there's always that aspect, being the number 7 player. Hey, I'm going to have to play some doubles at some point here.
Sure.
And you're only as good as your doubles partner. So, and you never know who that doubles partner is going to be.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And again, you go down to your local club or whatever, and they'll throw you out there with anybody. So you learn to play together.
Yeah.
You learn to learn together.
Right.
And there's that camaraderie.
Well, and I think also for me, what I always found is, and I actually related a little bit to Pat Riley, who, one of the, greats in coaching. He played at Kentucky in college, but wasn't a starter. He was usually first or second off the bench, sitting on the bench, watching, talking, learning, sitting next to the coach. And I spent a lot of time doing that. The coaching aspect to the game of tennis to me has always been intriguing. And I'm not talking about the professional coaches. That's not where my strength lies. My strength lies in watching either what I consider 4-5 and below.
Right.
And really just going, okay, great. You just double faulted twice in a row, or you missed this shot, or you didn't take enough shots to set up your winner. So it's just minute things, and where you can sit there and watch a person hit 3 shots and go, yeah, I know what's up. Bam. And it's a simple change. The game of tennis, I think in some ways, between the pros and the juniors, or the pros and let's say the pros and the 4-5s and below, it's gotten so distinguished in terms of their differences. Right. When a 4-5 or a 4-0 or a 3-5 goes, yeah, I want to hit it like so-and-so. Like, well, no. First of all, you're not in shape. Second of all, your arm's going to fall off if you try doing that.
Once a month.
Don't.
Yeah.
My goal with you as a 4-5 and below is to allow you to play until you're 80 years old. That I want to teach you some basics that will allow you to have fun get out there and be active and play until you're 80 years old.
And you don't have ace bandages on your arm. And
right, exactly. I mean, that's it. So do it in a way that's, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. I think that's really, really important. So the whole big wind up and all this, I'm like, no. Just so I enjoy that aspect to it. Again, working with high school, coaching at Lincoln High School in Portland, Oregon. I get a wide variety of players. I get my last year's guy went on to Alabama. He's playing at Alabama this year, or was as a freshman. And then, I've got other people who they finish in the spring and their senior year, they'll never pick up a racket again.
Right. Yeah.
So my goal is to help the guy at Alabama, especially in the mental aspect. And then for that other one is to allow him to maybe spend that next summer playing more tennis, or have enough smarts about the game of tennis that when he's in college, he can go on that first date and say, hey, let's go hit some tennis balls.
Yep.
So, I'm all about family, all about trying to make the family better.
And for those of us that did that worked pretty well.
I'm telling you,
yes.
It's one of the best things out there that nobody realizes.
You got. Want to go play some tennis? You know what you're doing. Well,
and even if you don't know what you're doing, the fact you're willing to go out there and have fun and smile and laugh, it's a great thing.
Right.
So, tennis is a wonderful sport that keeps giving back. And as I look in the backdrop that's behind you at Roland Garros, which, by the way, in my opinion, of the four majors, while I am a Francophile, I love France. It's like one of the worst tournaments out there. It's small. Yep. It's just terrible. The Australian is number one to me, followed by Wimbledon, followed by the U.S. Open, followed by the French Open. But,
well, it's funny because I just spoke to Johan Kriek yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And that was
loved Johan Kriek.
Oh yeah,
that was blast from the past.
Oh yeah, two-time Australian Open winner, and to go along with what you're saying, he said the exact same thing. And I'll have it posted in the next couple of days. But one of the things was he said, you'd have to see because it's a long story. But he said as he was becoming a player, his coach taught him to be a coach.
Yeah.
So, to make ends meet as he was trying to get on the tour, he was a coach. And so going back to coaching now, he said, I've been a coach longer than I've been a player.
Yeah.
And so I understand that aspect of it more than I understood being on the tour and winning major titles. Right. I said, well, that doesn't seem to make, no, I guess it does make sense, So it's I go with my teams and people I've worked with and say, I can fix your serve in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But in order for it to be effective, you have to work on it yourself.
Sure.
That's part of the thing of it. I can find the flaw right away. A footstep here, a grip there,
right.
Toss this. It's not a big deal. But you have to keep applying it as you play.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's part of, like you said, the kid that, is his senior year, it's his last match, he may never pick up a stick again.
Right.
My goal is to say, all right, you enjoyed it that much, maybe you will pick up a stick again.
Sure.
And maybe 3 years down the road, you go, boy, I missed this,
And to add to that, one of the things I know I try to do, and I put it up on my Instagram account a lot, and that is I try to come up with drills that you could do at your house. Like my serve toss drill. I'm like, I just practice that on the side of my house. Yeah. So I try to take things and make them simple so that people can do them anywhere and they'll remember them, because I still remember my first coach at age 7 named John McKay. He was a player at the University of Washington. And there was just this one visual that he talked to us about, and it stuck with me, and I still use it. And that's the old, there's a piece of wood, if you will, and it's got 10 balls hanging from it. And when you're hitting your ground stroke or you're hitting your volleys, you're trying to hit 10.
All 10 of them.
And right, so many of them, they just come and they just whip right over here, and that elbow jumps up. But I'm like, yeah, you hit like 1 or 2. Try to, even if you whip like that, that's fine, but try to hit as many as you can. Try to hit 5, 6, 7. So it's a drill, and every kid gets it. I mean, they literally, it's like, oh, I'm like, let's just envision 10 balls hanging. They can do that. And then I don't have to show them a TikTok. I don't have to show them something on, I don't know, Snapchat. They can see it, and you can use it. And then that's something that 20 to 30 years from now, when they're out there, they haven't played in a while, they'll be like, oh, hey, wait, I remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
So that's also one of the things I try to do. I try to use every aspect of the court or a house or a backyard. And especially now, since we can't get on the court, it's almost more important to find ways within your house. And again, going back to Instagram, going back to everybody out there in the tennis community, I'm so impressed with the way people are utilizing their yards. I just had a friend, actually my kid who is at Alabama, I just saw a video of him. He and his dad went to the Oregon coast where it's hard sand, huge beaches. They're out there having a sand match, just wailing the ball at each other, no net, no nothing. But I'm like, brilliant. Why not? There's nobody there. It's hard. Give it a go.
So I don't know if it was a Nike commercial or something that just came on. It might have been an ESPN commercial. I don't know. But you had the two girls hitting across the room.
Yeah.
I'm like, perfect. Who would have thought of that? But you want to hit, you're going to hit. And
that's right. Sometimes I love that. And that makes sense right in Europe because it's so, they're right. Their streets are small, but it's beautiful. I love that.
If they've been doing that all along, or they just come up with this recently. So, that's great.
Who knows? Who knows?
Well, and you hit on something I think is very important. When I was a high school coach, I was going to go back to the basketball tennis things. I think basketball players become good tennis players.
Yeah.
Just a movement thing and an awareness thing, a spatial thing. Anyway, I was a basketball coach and a tennis coach.
Yeah.
And I went to the state clinics for both. And, they were bringing in basketball. They brought in Gino Oriana, like, wow, the guy from UConn. Okay. And then he said, okay. The first thing he said was, I'm going to show you a drill, but let's face it, you don't have 10 McDonald All-Americans on your team, so you probably can't do this. Thanks, Gino. But he was honest about it.
Right. Yeah.
And then other coaches came out and said, I'm going to show you a drill. And we've got 10 assistant coaches, 17 managers. I've got me and a manager, and that's it. How do I do this? And then the tennis clinic was the same way. We were set up in a ballroom, and they had these little kids, 10-year-olds out there. So, well, our guys can do the drill the 10-year-olds can do until you see bam, bam, bam. Like, oh, our kids aren't that good.
Right.
So give us a drill we can do, like you said, in the house, in the small gymnasium during the winter. What can we do with these guys? So you end up making up those things yourself, but you understand, I think, that once we gave them those things and we tailored it to them, that's where they got better and they improved. Yeah. I tell the story. I had a couple of freshmen that when we would hit against the wall, they were lucky to hit the wall.
Right.
Like, wow. By the time they were seniors, they were my 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Because they just kept plugging away and working on it, and we gave them stuff to work on. So now, when
keeping it simple is critical, like you say, and you do get those coaches, and they come out, and you're like, oh, that's really not going to help me. But there are always gems. There are always little things. Coach Graves from Oregon, the women's coach, came up to something this summer because, again, like you, I coach basketball as well. And sure, I was like, no, we're not going to be able to do some of those drills. But there was one that was great because he said, yeah, I just set it up where I put a timer for 5 minutes and I set up 5 or 7 points around the 3-point line. And I have a player just go and shoot. And once you make 2 in a row, you can move. You keep track of all the stats, and they have to make better than, I think it was 35 or 40% of them in order to shoot a 3-pointer in a game.
Right.
And I was like, God, that's great because that'll shut up some of these high school kids who want to just jack it. And so I said, well, hey, if he's winning with this, I'm going to try it. I brought it in. The head coach was like, let's do it. It shut up the kids, but then a couple of them, and you keep giving them opportunities. It's like, all right, it's another week. Try again. Hey, you improved a little bit. Great. So it gives them something to aim for. It gives them something to shoot for, and keeps them quiet at the same time, which we know with high schoolers is not.
Well, I had a junior high kid say, I had 4 threes in a game once. Like, how many rebounds did you have? How many did your guy get? Well, I don't know. Yeah, you don't remember that stuff, do you? And how many shots did it take you to get those 4?
That's the big one right
there. Were you 4 for 5 or 4 for 28? You know.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, I understand that completely. Well, but looking at it from, how do you do this online now? How do you make it work where it's like people are invested in?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, what's fun is that I encourage people to just go ahead and take a video of themselves. So they'll do one where they take, like, let's say serving. That's the easiest one to do. And they don't have to be on a court. They can, again, be in their backyard, just stand there. I don't care. Pretend you're going to serve to the deuce court or to the ad court. You take one from a video from 90 degrees. So off to your right, if you're right-handed, off to your left, if you're left. And then you take one from behind. You do 3 service motions. You do that from to the right and behind you. That's 30 to 45 seconds of video. You send it to me. I'll analyze it. I'll go ahead using Coach's Eye, an app, which is a great app. I'll go ahead and I'll talk about it on that. And then I'll post it on the Instagram, or I'll send it right back to you. And so you can sit there and look at yourself. And sometimes I'll also side-by-side comparisons. So I'll match up my serve with their serve, and we'll talk about it and see, oh, right here at this spot, see where your racket does that? This is what we're aiming for. So they've got a visual. Kids, everybody's so much more visual now today than in the past, that you can just put that up on the screen and away they go, and they're set. So that's the way I can do it individually. And I'm kind of doing that right now. It's a little bit more of a thank you and a kickback and things like that. The goal with the camps, this is something that honestly, I really haven't found anybody else trying to do. But it's going to be much like a Zoom conference call, where we'll have people from all over. I'll be able to break out into rooms. So, okay, you want to work on serve, you go with this coach, and you go forehand here. So I can break you off that way. Then we'll have nutritionists, we'll have strength and exercise, the focused people. So we'll have specialists that can come on and talk to them. Then there will be breaks along the way, just like a camp. It's like, okay, go do this for an hour, film yourself, give it back to us. And I do that. And so I can do that over 5 days and keep it going and keep, they'll be able to send me the tape. I review that at night. The next morning, I can sit there and give it back. I won't be able to have 100 kids in a camp.
Sure.
It'll be 15, it'll be 20, but I can continue to do that. And then with my connections in the world of tennis, the goal is to get in a special speaker every week and just give them a little something, kind of as a, thank you on Friday. And then away we go. For the adults that I want to work with, that's going to be a little different because we still have to work. So that'll probably be 3 weeks, just Saturdays, but a full 9 to 4. And we'll just do that on 3 successive Saturdays, and then away we go. And it'll be in a good price range. I got to figure out how that works, and I've got to figure out, what suits people in this time. But, I want to keep them sharp with their tennis, and I want to keep them going.
Well, I found from the camps, when you do have 100 people at camp, only 10 or 20 of them are getting anything out of it anyway, unfortunately, because not everyone has the mental toughness, I guess is the best way of putting it, to sit there and pay attention while 12 other ones are goofing off over here.
Yeah.
Because as you know, not everyone that goes to camp is there to actually learn something. Some people are just sent there. I get them out of my hair for a week. Okay, go. Especially now. I've been around my kids now for the last. No, go do something else. So, and I think the smaller, and I like the way you're looking at it, and the video aspect of it is great. My brother and I say we're natural born mimics. Yeah. So we can see someone do something, and we can pretty much come close to what it is. And we feel like we're close or not. But not everyone has that ability. Like you said, they're more visual now. So they may think they're doing something, and then you say, now, here's what you're doing, and you show it to them.
Yeah.
Here's what we would like you to do, or here's what, say, Federer does, or here's what, Nastase did, or however you want to look at it. Now, here's where you are, which is working better.
Sure.
Because people think that what they're doing is the right thing. They go, oh, it looks like that? Really?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
and exactly. That's just it. I just got a film from a guy in Switzerland. No, it wasn't Federer. It was just this other guy, and I wrote him back, and we just started communicating. He said, "Well, I just started, playing a little while back, and yeah, anything you can send me." And it's like, great, okay. So I'm set to take his video today, put it next to mine, and just be like, all right. Because the one thing that I know he doesn't notice is in the middle of his service swing, he changes his grip.
oh,
So he goes from a continental start to completely flat on the other end. And it's funny because in the video that he sent, I looked at it, and it happens when it goes behind his hip. So on the video, you can't see the change.
yeah.
But I said,
But as he's coming through,
but here, it's here, and here it's totally flat. And I said, oh man, okay. So I'm excited to change that, and again, just share that out wherever I can.
And that's a great point, because a lot of times the people I've seen that aren't, that's the best way of putting it, that don't want to make people make a change because they'll say it's uncomfortable and it doesn't feel right. And even though they may have only picked up a racket 5 times, you tell them to go to a continental grip to serve it. Well, it doesn't feel right. Well, it will, especially once you see the ball going in the court.
Right.
And,
right. Yeah.
And for some of them, you're surprised at how hard of a switch it is for them until they hit 3 balls in a row and go, oh, yeah, that feels a lot better now, doesn't it?
Well, and I mean, we have to remember as coaches, not everybody knows how to throw a ball.
Right, exactly.
Which to me is mind-blowing. It's like, what? But they don't know. They step with the wrong foot. They you're like, okay, we just like have to learn how to throw a ball to start, and we'll get that motion. The reason the continental feels so uncomfortable is because a continental grip doesn't work when you're sitting here kind of going like this, pushing it through. You have to extend. And so it's just different. And and the realization that every person we coach is different is really, really important. I mean, sometimes we get in our mind that they're all the same, they're all robots, and just one fix suits all. But everybody is a little bit different. And
there are a number of drills that you can, I made it up, but I know someone did it before me. You get an old racket, throw the racket, goes end over end, boom, you're good. And one of those things like that. Yeah.
Right.
And it's just, okay, well, you can't do that way. You have to do it that way. And, and again, I don't think anyone's reinventing anything.
No, it's just, again, you speak of the whole throwing of the racket, which I used to do, but of course that always cracks them. And then I just saw a video, get on Instagram. I think it's Be Great Tennis, and the 8 is the number 8. And he just talks about going ahead and holding a racket in such a way and doing this and tossing the ball up and hitting it with the butt of the racket. And I was like, I had never thought of that, but that's brilliant, right? That puts you right in the right spot.
Right.
You're not hitting it like this. You have to actually come in with your arm the correct way. And just simple things like that. You can do that at home, and it's going to make a big, big difference. So.
And again, the fun thing about that, I had one of my players, his dad, served with a forehand grip. And he's like, my serve is off, because he saw his son getting better. I'm like, well, you're using the wrong grip. Yeah, they tried to get me to change that about 10 years ago. I'm not doing it. Like, okay, hit 5 of them. Just do it the way I'm asking you. Hit 5 of them.
Yeah.
On the 4th one's like, wow. So, yeah, he's been perfect ever since. But and it's, I mean, again, it's a matter of observation and patience as well. Yeah. And what I think you're talking about is we're going to put people in a position to enjoy what they're doing, first of all.
Right.
And once you do that, they're more apt to accept the changes.
When you see the smile on somebody you're working with, when it's just that sudden click, I remember, and I'll remember this. So, we only had 3 workouts before the season got canceled this year. We'd had tryouts, and we had, I think, 2 or 3 practices after that, but it was at tryouts with this kid who couldn't have weighed more than 100 pounds, just, teeny little freshman, but a good hitter. And he was struggling on the ad court, getting it into the backhand corner, and he kept tossing to his left. I'm like, dude, you're 5'3". What are you doing? You're almost, you're barely taller than the net. Let's toss it about 3 feet to our right. And he's like, what? And I said, well, let's toss it to your right, and you need to move your feet, because your feet are lined up right kind of behind each other. On the ad court, you're not left foot first and right foot back here. You're more like this. And I said, so your hips are already open. You can't get it out there. So we turned him, and the first time he just tossed it up, hit it right into the corner where he'd been dreaming of, and he just turned and smiled.
Yep.
Thank you. I was like, all right, that's my highlight for the day.
Yeah,
that was
great. Now, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, when we talked earlier, and I can't remember if it was in the interview or if it was pre, but you know why we do this, why we go back, and it's moments like that.
Exactly.
It's that moment of sheer pleasure, sheer joy, and yes, it may have been preceded by pure utter failure and pain or this and that, but to see the juxtaposition, to see the change, the growth, to get to that, and whether that's way up there or it's just right down here, there's always growth. And when you see that and you feel that, it's just something that as a coach, and I'm sure it is for, at least I would hope it is for most coaches in most sports, that's what keeps pulling us back.
Well, there are, and someone mentioned this to me, a coach is a teacher.
Yeah.
But a coach is also a coach. So there are two things that usually work together. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes you're like, we need to win this match, but you need a teachable moment here and there in the middle of this match as well. So sometimes you're like, okay, we can not necessarily try and lose, but we need to learn some stuff. And if I ask you to go for something on, add out just because I want to see if you can do it, and you lose the game, okay. But then once you get it, aha, and there's that moment. So, the teaching is a groundswell, and then when they make that play and they turn and look at you, like you said, they go,
yeah,
I'm done. I get in the car, go home now.
Yeah.
That's a great
it's really nice. I'm in the midst of, I just started about 6 months ago, a master's program at the University of Missouri called Positive Coaching. And it's all based in psychology. And from a coach's standpoint, it's so interesting to dive into some of these aspects, whether it's mental toughness, whether it's just how to approach the positive versus the negative. It's kind of, if you've been a coach long time or not very long at all, a lot of the stuff that I'm learning about is like, oh yeah, I knew that. But there's so much data, research, and all this other stuff that it really just sheds so much more light on the reasons, the logic, and everything. It's really fun. There are a lot of great coaching programs around the country. I just happened with the positive aspect of it. Maybe it's just name or marketing, but it really rang and resonated with me, and I'm enjoying it. And because it's online, that's the best part.
Right.
So it's something I think that a lot of young coaches should also look to, is if they can find a way to get involved with something like that. I just think it enhances and kind of gives you a bigger and broader perspective of how to work with different people, because the examples they give are high level professional athletes, collegiate, high school, juniors, all of that. So it's really beneficial.
Well, and something that you mentioned, it's when you're talking about trying to get a 4.0 to a 4.5 or to maintain being a 4.0, that we have to understand, like you said, I have a job, I have a family, I have a life, I have to do this, and then I want to go play tennis for 2 hours on every Wednesday night.
Yeah. Right.
And I still want to maintain what I have, or I want to go to the next ladder.
Yeah.
How can I do that in the amount of time that I have? And a lot of that is more mental than it is physical.
Yeah.
It's understanding what you need to tweak and how you need to tweak it.
Right.
And how you need to keep it tweaked, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Sure.
That,
sure.
Okay, now I can improve, or I can stay where I'm at and I can have fun doing it.
Yeah.
We've all had that match or that day where you couldn't hit the ball in the court if you were standing on the other side of the court.
Right.
And you no matter how sunny of a disposition you have, that day sucks.
Yeah.
Sure I haven't hit a forehand in a month, or I haven't hit my backhand anywhere near where I want to go, or I just hit my serve off the frame and it hit the TV over there. Yeah. And being able to keep people in that mode of, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And it's going to be better. Just right. Yeah. Today's bad. Okay. Yeah. How do you do that?
Yeah. I love it.
It's It's great talking to you, Todd. This is you asked what I'm doing. This is why I do this.
I love it.
And,
I love it.
That same, just what you said, that you brought a smile to my face. Boom, that's it.
Yeah,
that's the perfect thing. So,
perfect.
all right. Well, give me a little wrap up here of where they can find you online, all that good fun stuff, and we'll make sure we get it posted.
Sounds good. Anyway, so where can people find me? That's kind of you. Certainly, I'm on Instagram at BP Tennis Academy. You can check that out. I have a website, bptennisacademy.com. Those are the two best places. Instagram is probably where I'm the most busy, and people can direct message me there, send me videos if they'd like, and I'll just jump on them and get them back to them and go from there.
Sounds good. Thank you once again. I hope you enjoy the day. I hope things work out for you.
Yeah.
At least you get a little rest and see what's going on.
Sounds good. Frank, thanks again for the time. Love what you're doing, and keep it up.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You betcha. Cheers.